Why did religion begin, and how it became the most powerful weapon in history? Before we begin, ask yourself a few uncomfortable questions. Why have kings, emperors, and rulers across history always stayed close to religion? Why did questioning a king often mean questioning God? And why were ordinary people taught obedience as virtue, generation after generation? Most importantly, was religion created to free the human mind, or to control it? Welcome to Decoded Buddha. This is not a channel of blind belief. This is not a channel of rituals, fear, or superstition. Here, we decode ancient wisdom using psychology, neuroscience, and deep observation to understand how the human mind really works. This series is called Buddha the Scientist, because today we are not discussing religion as faith. We are decoding religion as a human invention, a psychological tool, and eventually, a weapon of power. So today's episode is about one core question. Why did religion begin, and how did it become the most powerful weapon ever used to rule human minds, generation after generation? To find the answer, we must go back, far before temples, scriptures, or kings. We must go back to the primitive human brain. The real birth of religion. Fear before faith. Early humans lived in a world they could not explain. Death arrived suddenly. Disease had no cure. Nature destroyed without warning. Lightning looked like anger. Earthquakes felt like punishment. Darkness felt dangerous. Modern neuroscience explains this clearly. The human brain is a prediction machine. When it cannot predict or control its environment, it experiences fear. This fear activates the amygdala, the brain's survival center. And when fear dominates the mind, the brain desperately looks for meaning. That search for meaning, not divine revelation, was the real beginning of religion. Religion did not begin as control. It began as comfort. When humans could not control nature, they created explanations. When death felt unbearable, they created afterlife stories. When life felt meaningless, they created purpose. In this early phase, religion was not dangerous. It was a psychological shelter. But history shows us a repeating pattern. Wherever fear exists, power soon follows. When rulers discovered the power of belief. As societies grew, tribes became villages, villages became kingdoms, and kingdoms needed one thing above all else: obedience. Rulers slowly realized something critical about the human mind. Weapons can control bodies, but belief controls minds. A sword can force obedience for one lifetime. Belief can create obedience for centuries. So rulers aligned themselves with religion. The king was no longer just powerful. He was divinely chosen. Disobedience was no longer rebellion. It became sin. Psychology explains why this worked so deeply. The human brain is tribal. It seeks authority, certainty, and safety. Religion provided clear rules, clear rewards, clear punishments, even after death. Neuroscience shows that fear of eternal punishment creates deeper obedience than fear of physical pain, because pain ends with death. But belief promises consequences beyond death. This is why religion became the most powerful weapon in history. Not because it was false, but because it was emotionally absolute. Generation after generation, children were born into belief systems they never chose. Belief became identity. Identity became loyalty, and loyalty became control. Religion slowly shifted, from inner inquiry to outer obedience, from questioning to unquestionable truth, from awareness to authority. And once belief is inherited, it stops being examined. Humanity reached a crossroads. One path led to awareness, the other led to obedience. Most civilizations chose obedience, but one man chose awareness, and that man was Buddha. From belief to structure, rulers understood one crucial truth. A belief without structure fades. A belief with structure becomes eternal. So religion was given a framework, not overnight, but step by step, generation by generation. 3 pillars slowly emerged. 1. Scriptures, fixed truths. 2. Priests, Authorized interpreters 3, rituals, repeated conditioning. Together, they created something far more powerful than an army. They created mental discipline. Scriptures, when truth became fixed originally, spiritual insights were personal experiences. They were fluid. They were open to questioning. But power does not like uncertainty. So experiences were written down, stories were formalized, rules were codified. Once written, truth stopped evolving. What was once an insight became a command. Psychology explains this clearly. The human brain prefers certainty over curiosity. A fixed answer feels safer than an open question. Scriptures provided certainty. They told people what to believe, how to live, what to fear, what to hope for. And once truth is written and declared sacred, questioning it feels dangerous. Priests, the gatekeepers of meaning. But scriptures alone were not enough. Someone had to interpret them. Thus emerged a new authority class: priests, clerics, intermediaries. They became the bridge between humans and God-fear and comfort, guilt and forgiveness. Power shifted again. Truth was no longer discovered internally. It was explained externally. Neuroscience tells us, when an authority figure claims access to higher truth, the brain's critical thinking centers reduce activity. Obedience feels safer than doubt. This is why priests became powerful, not through force, but through perceived moral superiority. Rituals, conditioning the mind. Then came rituals. Daily, weekly, yearly repetition. The brain loves repetition. Repetition creates habit identity. Emotional attachment. Rituals were not meaningless. They were psychological conditioning tools. Every ritual reinforced fear of punishment, hope of reward, loyalty to the system. Over time, belief stopped being conscious. It became automatic. This is how religion moved from the mind into the nervous system. The most dangerous shift, questioning, became sin. Here is where religion truly became a weapon. At some point, societies made a silent decision. Questions are dangerous. Why? Because a questioning mind cannot be controlled easily. So questioning was reframed. It was no longer curiosity. It became disobedience. Doubt became weakness. Inquiry became rebellion. Thinking became threat. Psychologically, this is powerful. Fear shuts down the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic and reasoning. And when logic shuts down, belief takes over. This is why rulers didn't need to fight rebels anymore. They only needed to teach children one thing, greater than do not question. Religion as an inherited identity. Once questioning died, religion became inherited. Children were born into belief systems before they learned how to think. Religion stopped being something you explore. It became something you are. And identity is the strongest prison. Neuroscience confirms, when belief becomes identity, the brain defends it like survival itself. That is why debates fail. That is why logic fails. That is why evidence fails. Because the mind is no longer protecting truth. It is protecting self-image. This is how religion ruled not just bodies, but minds, generation after generation. And then came a radical voice. In a world like this, where belief was inherited, where questioning was forbidden, where power was wrapped in divinity, one man said something revolutionary, not violent, not political, but dangerous. Buddha said, "Do not accept my words because I say them. Do not accept them because they are written. Test them through your own experience." This single statement threatened every system built on control, because if truth must be experienced, then priests lose authority. If truth must be observed, then scriptures lose monopoly. If awareness replaces belief, then fear loses power. Buddha did not attack religion. He bypassed it. He shifted the focus. From belief to observation, from obedience to awareness, from power to understanding. And that is why he was dangerous, not to people, but to systems of control. So now, let's pause. and ask the most important question of all. If religion was created to reduce fear and suffering, why has it caused so much suffering instead? And the answer becomes uncomfortable. Because once religion turned into a tool of power, it needed control. And control always looks for the weakest point in society. Across history, that weakest point was women. How religion controlled women, generation after generation. When religion merged with power, it didn't just control kingdoms. It controlled bodies, choices, and lives. Slowly, silently, and systematically, women's freedom was reduced. Not in one place, not in one culture, but across civilizations. Ask yourself, why were women denied education in the name of religion? Why was curiosity in women seen as danger? Why were women taught obedience as virtue, while men were taught authority as destiny? Religion became the justification. Rules were written, not to protect women, but to control them. Their bodies were regulated. Their clothing was decided. Their mobility was restricted. Their voices were silenced. All in the name of purity, honor, tradition, divine order. Psychology explains this clearly. A controlled society needs predictable behavior, and controlling women meant controlling family structures, reproduction, inheritance, social order. So religion turned biology into morality. Natural human processes became shameful. Choice became rebellion. Freedom became sin. And the most dangerous idea was planted, greater than, this is not oppression, this is God's will. Once oppression is labeled divine, it becomes unquestionable. What science says about this control? Modern neuroscience shows, when fear and guilt are repeatedly associated with identity, the brain internalizes control. Women were not just controlled externally, they were taught to police themselves. This is called internalized oppression. The mind becomes its own prison. And this didn't only harm women, it damaged humanity itself. Because when half of humanity is suppressed, intelligence is lost, creativity is lost, compassion is distorted, societies stagnate. Religion and the loss of human inquiry. Remember what we discussed earlier. Religion became dangerous when questioning became sin. This didn't just silence philosophers. It silenced girls who wanted to learn, women who wanted to choose, humans who wanted to think. Across history, religion decided who can study, who can speak, who can lead, who must obey, and power justified all of it with divine authority. This is why we must understand one thing clearly. Religion didn't fail humanity. Power hijacked religion, and humanity paid the price. Where Buddha stands in all this. This is where Buddha's position becomes revolutionary. Buddha never divided humanity into men and women, pure and impure, superior and inferior. He spoke only of suffering, awareness, liberation. For Buddha, the mind had no gender, suffering had no gender, freedom had no gender. He allowed women to learn, meditate, question, awaken. In a time when questioning itself was dangerous, Buddha made questioning sacred. He didn't ask people to submit. He asked them to observe. That is why Buddha was not useful to kings, because awareness cannot be ruled. The moral of the story is, here is the truth we must sit with. Religion was born to protect the human mind from fear. Power turned it into a weapon of control. And the greatest tragedy is not belief itself, it is unquestioned belief. Buddha's message was simple, yet radical. Do not believe because it is written. Do not believe because it is ancient. Believe only what you experience, examine, and understand. This is not anti-religion. This is pro-humanity. Now, the questions are for you. Before this video ends, we want you to think, not react. Ask yourself, how many freedoms have been taken in the name of religion? How many lives, especially women's lives, were controlled in the name of purity and honor? Why were women denied the right to study, choose, dress, or live freely in the name of God? How much of what we follow today is awareness? And how much is inherited fear? And most importantly, if a belief cannot survive questioning, was it ever meant to be truth? Tell us in the comments which topic should be our next video. Religion and women, how faith became control, fear, guilt, and the human brain. Why questioning threatens power, Buddha versus blind belief, neuroscience of obedience. Or any topic you want us to decode, your comments decide our next episode. If this video made you uncomfortable, that's a good sign. Discomfort is where awareness begins. Like this video if you believe thinking should never be a crime. Subscribe to Decoded Buddha for deep, fearless explorations of mind, power, and consciousness. Visit our website, DecodedBuddha.com, where we publish long-form articles and research-based breakdowns. Follow us on Instagram, Decoded Buddha, for daily insights and decoded wisdom. All links are available in the description. And remember, real freedom doesn't begin by changing the world. It begins by questioning the stories that control your mind. See you in the next episode of Buddha the Scientist.